Hey, Storm fans. I know this might be a little bit weird, but we have a donation deck today that is the Epic Storm. Our good friend and supporter of both the Storm content and the podcast content, Gavin, and I hope I pronounced your last name correctly, Enderlin, aka Basic underscore Swamp, has paid to see an Epic Storm League where I am not completely miserable playing without Rite of Flame. So, Gavin, thank you. I do appreciate it. And in front of you is a list that I've been working on with Alex McKinley. We're calling it 11.7. So this list is not terribly different from what we've been playing recently, but there's a couple small changes. So 11.7, we have a 14th land and Rite of Flame. So 14 lands is pretty good when your opponents are running Stifle. A lot of the Delver decks are running Stifle now. They're good against Wasteland decks. 14 lands means that Pulverize is more likely to be active, which is great. 14 lands means you're more likely to hit 4 lands for Burning Wish and a Pulverize in one foul sweep. Um, well, 14 lands can't always be perfect, right? Like there has to be some sort of downside, or else we would have been doing it the whole time. The downside is you are slightly slower, and that matters against decks like Elves. It matters against opposing combo decks like Ant or Doomsday. So it's not all benefits. But here's the thing: we lost the third copy of Mox Opal, which it's not always a full mana, which is kind of the thing. Like Chrome Mox is always half a mana. Mox Opal is usually 0 or 1, and it probably averages out to like 75%, so 0.75. Um, yeah, so instead we have a one. We just have a full mana source and an extra fetch land, which makes Brainstorm a little more consistent anyway. So that's kind of nice. So we lost an Opal. It's important to keep Chrome because you really want to play turn 1 Wishclaw against non-blue decks or turn 1 Grid, that sort of thing. I think Chromox is just slightly more important. And where you really notice the lack of the additional Opal is off of Echo of Aeons and Ad Nauseam, in my opinion. So that's the list we're playing today. That's the change in the main deck: 14 lands and only 2 Mox Opal. In the sideboard, we have Chain of Vapor and then Echoing Truth. An Epic Storm classic has found its way back into the sideboard. We were talking, and we think one of the reasons we've been losing to decks like Maverick and Death and Taxes more often is they play the Deafening Silence, and then that buys them enough time to play a Hate Bear. And by the time you can answer that Hate Bear, they have another Hate Bear. So the snowball happens, or they have the Mindbreak Trap, and you just can't get out from underneath it. Well, with 5 bounce spells, you're able to more consistently stop the snowball. Mindbreak Trap is going to continue to be an issue. It's just what it is. Um, yeah. So we're trying a bounce spell, and I've received a lot of messages from people going like, just play discard. I appreciate you commenting, um, and I appreciate everyone watching, but discard spells are not the answer. When you're running when you're running Echo of Aeons, discard spells are pretty embarrassing because they don't work with the synergies of your own deck. I understand that Ant is finally started to do well again, and by well I mean like it did well in a couple challenges, and then since then not so much. Um, Shout out to Daniel D'Amato, terrific Ant pilot. He's carrying the torch. Great human being. Love Danny. So the other Ant pilots outside of Daniel not doing so well. And people are saying that it's like discard. Well, discard is good in a wide open metagame, which is where we're at now. But as the metagame starts to become more defined, discard gets worse and worse, especially with decks like Rug Delver now playing Veil of Summer again. So discard's not really where you want to be, in my opinion. Like I get that it can discard a Mindbreak Trap or whatever, but the fact that it doesn't work with Echo is just bad. I have considered like maybe not playing green and running white because these could become silence. The problem with that is that you lose these terrific sideboard cards. You lose Carpet, you lose Abrupt Decay. Um, Someone wants to do a donation deck list for white TES, I'd be happy to play that. Make me try to figure out how to play white. I've also like thought about like if it would be possible to ever do 5-color TES again, where instead of defense grid, like maybe you run silence. I haven't figured it out yet. Like it's just tough. I have a lot of ideas, but not all of them actually work. I'm gonna get back to my initial point. Discard isn't the answer. Let's just keep moving. I don't want to spend all day on this. discard spells aren't the answer. I don't think they're where you want to be. We do play the one Thoughtseize as a Burning Wish target. That's fine. But if there was a sorcery speed silence I could play, I would sure as hell be playing that before I played a Thoughtseize. Like, I just want to maximize my Echo of Aeons. So that's why we run Veil and Grid. We've already covered Massacre and Pulverize. Everything else in here is pretty stock. Get out of here, Bar. And then we have the 2 Carpet, 2 Decay. I was playing 3 Carpets in a recent video. With 14 lands, it takes the emphasis off Carpet a little bit. Like, Carpet's nice to have against Elver decks, but the extra land acts in a similar role while helping you to be more resilient against Stifle. So that's why we're running 14 lands. Stifle's just, it's come back. You have to adjust a little bit. Carpet's still great. Decay's still great. I've played this list in a few leagues so far. I believe my results have been 5-0 on the first one, 0-2, 3-2, 0-2, 4-1, 3-2, 4-1. So it's been hot and cold. The thing is, the metagame is still very undefined, and I'll have leagues where I face a lot of fair decks and I just crush. And by fair, I mean like blue fair with like Maverick and Death and Taxes, stuff like that, goblins. And then I'll have leagues where I get like Painter with Hullbreachers and Karn in it, and then the next match I'll get paired against Urza Echo. Next match will be Black Red Reanimator. I'm just like, why do I play Magic? Because I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I don't think that those are real decks. They're just like, if you enter a large event, you're not likely to face that stuff in the winners bracket, and I'm looking to maximize my percentages to go deep in a tournament. Like, I don't actually value league play that high, so I'm always just trying to adjust to make myself better in large events, because that's what I care about personally. So hopefully this list does well today, because this is something I would play in a large event. If it does well in a league, cool. But this is something I'd be like, yeah, I want to top eight a challenge with this list. I think this is good, or I would run it in a Leaving a Legacy 5K or whatever. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you want to see me play a white TES list, I'll have donation deck info for you in just a second. But yeah, and for donation decks, you can go to theepicstorm.com/donation decks. We have 3 different tiers. I have the $25 tier, which is me just playing your deck list. You have to submit a deck list. I have a $50 tier where I'll work on a deck with you, and you get a discount from theepicstorm.com/shop on all merchandise. And then for the $150 tier, you get to play a league with me for the Epic Storm YouTube channel on top of a better discount. And we get into the nitty gritty of deck building. We talk sideboard mapping, why you play certain flex spots. Like, we'll get into all of it. So that's the Epic tier. And you submit your deck at the URL listed below. And if you want more information, there's a link in the description. But for now, we're going to start playing some sweet, sweet Legacy. Welcome to round number 1. We are facing Modern Monkey, and we've opened up a hand that I don't know if this is actually good. I'm going to ship this. Much better. I think I actually like the Opal. Not sure what our opponent's playing. Delver's the answer. The Petal is a very good draw. Turning on the Opal is just huge. Force pitch days. Okay. I see you. They had double force. Holy cow. Alright, we're in trouble. They're down to 1 card, but they do have a very fast clock in play. Alright, so they must have revealed a creature to that Delver. I think I want to hang on to this Burning Wish. Like casting the wish there would have been nice because it gets you like a turn ahead or whatever. The main issue I see with casting it right there is like, what am I getting, and like, how am I supposed to know? Um, so they're on rug. Okay, I guess we're spinning the wheel on Echo. I could also group shot their team. Try to buy some time. I think Echo's probably the plan. And now I look silly for not getting Echo last turn, but like, how was I supposed to know I'm going to draw lines at Diamond? No point in cracking the fetch land. It doesn't change any math, and you just lose a fetch for like a brainstorm or something. So there's no real reason to crack there. They had a daze. Wow. Okay. So we'll pay for the Echo. Um, hmm. So we can add 3 storms, so that's 14 life. Is that worth it? I guess if we could try to get them to force ritual. Hmm. Alright, so this is just to buy time. This is not for lethal. They'll be at 1. I could have cast Veil instead of Ponder there. But the problem is if Veil just resolves, you look really stupid. And what if you, like, I don't know. Like, there's a number of things where it could have gone wrong. This way, I'm going to have Grid with Veil backup on my turn. You gonna force this and go to 2, or are you gonna go to 1? All right, they've decided to go to 2. Pitching Uro. You gonna level up your Hex Drink, or is that what's going on here? So I'm going to fetch first, which seems a little bit silly because if I get stifled, I look really dumb. But there's a reason for doing it because if I play this grid and they force and I fetch, they're going to stifle it knowing that I have Veil. Okay, so now we just have to draw an action spell. We're on a 5-turn clock at the moment. I just finished eating a burrito and it was fucking delicious. And then I decided, hey, I'm in such a great mood from this burrito, I might as well play some Legacy. They're at 1. Are they going to level up this Hex Drinker? Apparently. Burning Mush. Alright, if they cast a blue spell on their turn, I'm going to cycle a Veil. Waterlogged Grove is a little bit embarrassing at the moment. We're facing lethal next turn if they have another Bolt. No blue spell for Veil. Yikes. They stabilized at 1 and it looks like they're going to get there. Yeah, they got us from 20 or from 30 life actually. We didn't have anything coming. Bummer. Alright, so we're boarding in carpets, and then the current plan is to shave one of each Mox. I'm not in love with this plan because against a deck with Stifle Waste in it, you're boarding on initial mana sources. The problem is you don't really have cards you want to bring in. So you could board out Rights, which you would have saw in my last video for carpets. You know, it can be awkward at times. But there's no other cards you want to bring in. Like, you could bring in Abrupt Decay for a Null Rod, but drawing Decay when your opponent doesn't have Null Rod is like kind of embarrassing, especially when they're going after your mana. So the current plan is to just shave one of each Mox. I don't love this, but I don't know if we have a better decision or a better choice. So that's how I'm going to board. And if you're unfamiliar with my content, I am Bryant Cook. I'm a part of the Eternal Glory podcast. We discuss Legacy. The content's great, people are great, and you can find us on all major podcast platforms. I highly recommend giving us a listen. Game 2, we're on the play. Sure. Do need this carpet to resolve. Step 1. We're just going to pass. No need to do anything. That hurts. I mean, the Wasteland isn't the end of the world here, but it certainly hurts considering we're a little tight on mana. Interesting that they fetch for a Trop. I think that could be bad news if they have a Wilt. Okay, Hex Drinker was apparently the answer. I think I like all of this. Rather than give us mana, they would rather discard. I don't even know if I want Echo. I think it might be go time. And that just resolved. I could get Thoughtseize. It's a little close on mana, but I don't know. Let's try Thoughtseize. They got rid of a Stifle. I think we just have lethal. Just making sure that the green card that I saw was Hex Drinker, not Veil of Summer. Okay, so we stole game number 2 away from Rug Delver. And I'm just going to resubmit. That plan seemed fine to me. Opponent has taken a mulligan. So I could have let on Verdant. I don't want to give them a reason to hold up Stifle. Because I actually need this black source to go hit a go get a, or the Verdant go get a black source. So I don't want to incentivize them to stifle it. Ooh. Sylvan, okay. Tapping out with Ponder in hand likely signifies that they have a force. So if they have a force, it's not a bad idea to force this because, and we saw that they did, because they're about to pay 8 life on this Sylvan library. And when they do that, we have a way of getting tendrils already in play. So if they don't have a stifle, there's a good chance that they're dead. So this line that our opponent took makes a lot of sense. Our opponent's actually playing a list with a lot of 1 mana pieces of interaction. We saw that they have Wasteland on top of Stifle, or not Wasteland, Flusterstorm on top of Stifle, which isn't always common. So going and getting Vault tells me that they might have a Pyroblast. Um, it's a tough read that they only have 2 cards. We can try to resolve Ad Nauseam on our turn. I think that's what we're supposed to do. And I will sacrifice here because we have to be able to beat a bunch of soft counters, and having more mana floating helps with that. If their last 2 are force blue card, it sucks, but we probably weren't winning anyway. If it's Flusterstorm, we can pay and have 1 mana floating. Our opponent's thinking about it here, so I'm willing to bet this card is Fluster. Grid was very good. All right, so do I want to flip? we've played a land. So hypothetically, let's talk this through. We've played a land. They could have Bolt in their hand as well. So we've played a land. Let's say we play grid. We have 4 floating. This brings us up to 6, 7, which is enough for tendrils. If they have a daze, that messes this up. And that would be storm 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're at 13 though. I think we're going to stop here. This beats Stifle, Fluster, a number of things. Daze was brutal there. Because now we need this Ponder to hit something good. I think we're too far away for a Grape Shot line. So we could, hypothetically, we have 4 or 5 mana. No, Grape Shot's the same as Tendrils. We need 7 for that. Time to Ponder. We need to hit LED here. Or we can just hit Tendrils. It's worth noting, if they had Bolt and we flipped, we would have died. Sorry, opponent. This is what you get for playing the Stifle deck. Get wrecked. Get out of here, Delver deck. So 14 lands showed up well against the Stifle Waste deck. We were always hitting our land drops. We were pretty consistent. Even on the game, we kept an awkward 1-lander. We won. So we saw the improvements here, but there's still 4 more matches of Legacy. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure they're all going to be just as good as this one. All right, round number 2. We are facing SHAKELION. And if you're unfamiliar with who SHAKELION is, I don't know who they are. But they play a lot of explosive decks, let's say. And it looks like they're playing Painter today. But I'm not feeling too confident about our matchup here. I think I'm just going to lead on Brainstorm while they're tapped out. Yikes. A lot of lands. Guess a 4th land is better than a 2nd grid. But our opponent could have a pretty slow draw and still beat us. All they need is a land next turn now. If I had fetched for a red source on turn 1, we could have pulverized here. But I don't know. There isn't a single card I can ponder into, so I think the best thing for me to do here is just a Burning Wish and pass and lose. Like, there isn't a better line. Maybe I should have thought of the fact that they could play Painter on turn 2 and just fetch Revolt. And there's the game. Alright, so we lost game number 1 to Painter. Do we want to board in... Yeah, we probably do. Bring in all this stuff. I like leaving the Thoughtseize in the board, but we'll leave in 1 Veil. It still stops like Pyroblast and Elemental Blast and all that good stuff. It just doesn't draw a card. So we have that going on for us. Turn 1 Naws! Opponent is mulliganed. Once again, turn 1 Naws! 1 mana short of Pier. I'm going to keep the Wish in my hand. I could have sacked the LED, chose not to. We have a land drop, so I just don't feel like I need to do that. Alright, and we're off to game 3. Well, our sideboard plan worked well that match, or that game, so let's just do it again. Why not? Perfect sideboard plan. Just opening up a turn 1. This isn't bad. I'll keep this. Our opponent is mulliganed. Right now, this is an Echo hand against a Painter deck. Our opponent's mulliganed to 5. 5 is obviously not great, but if we draw like a Ritual or an LED, we have a Pier. I think I'm just going to Ponder. Well, we have a Pier next turn now. Yeah, we can't do anything else this turn. There it is. So we're going to lose the game if they have ESG, or I'm sorry, SSG Blast. They're not F6 this time. Oh, well, our opponent decided they had enough. They weren't going to bluff. All right, so we are now 2-0 over Painter. Round number 3. We're on the draw against Always Sleepy 0. We've opened up an unkeepable hand. We have to ship it. This hand is the opposite of unkeepable. It's just fucking great. We're going to bottom Wishclaw here and hope to draw something good. And take a Mox Opal. Mox Opal would give us a green source for Veil, so that way we can go off on turn 1. And if they're not a blue deck, it gives us Pier. So they're on the enemy deck. So right now we have an empty for 10, which doesn't beat a Stoneforge. But I think we're still supposed to go for it. Yeah. I guess we could Echo. I'm just trying to think, like, if we... The problem is, like, what if they just play, like, a Thalia and then Violent, like, a blocker? Like, 10 is not a lot. I think we're probably supposed to Echo here. I'm going to flip black, because I'd like to win this turn. Fuck you, deck. That sucked. The bright side is we do have Burning Wish for Massacre lined up, but the rest of our hand is kind of stinky. Oh. I played the Vintage Challenge earlier today. That's what that is. Let's go get rid of that defense grid. This file concerns me a little. I guess it's on 3, so they can't put in like Flicker Wisp or something. I mean, sorry, not Flicker Wisp. Spirit of the Labyrinth. That's what I meant to say. Interesting that they chose. Oh, they're gonna get Sanctum Prelate. Ah. Okay. So I guess they name 4, and then we Burning Wish for Grape Shot. Making me really work for this. And they still have 5 cards in hand. So we're taking 7 here. So we're going to be at 5. I mean, we had a lot of fight this game, but it just wasn't good enough. Like, our Echo sucked. And, like, you might be blaming me for not going for empty for 10 on turn 1. I don't think 10 was enough against Thalia and a blocker. Or, like, Stoneforge Mystic on its own actually just beats 10 Goblins as well. At least on the draw. On the play, 10 Goblins would win. We need our opponent to pretty much have nothing in order to win this game. We do get a 2/2 blocker here. If our opponent had Flicker Wisp, they could have saved the Thalia. What a jerk. Two Burning Wish down. 3 Burning Wish down. So Pier is a card we want to draw. Or cast. And the Sword of Fire Ice actually represents lethal next turn. Burning Wish would not... I mean, I guess if we brainstormed into Burning Wish LED. But we're pretty far away from Pier. Am I supposed to brainstorm? I don't think so. Well, that does get rid of the sword. We have one land that taps for mana still in the deck that we can play. I guess we can brainstorm here. The land that taps for mana is Taiga. Come on, triple LED. I don't know why I kept Delta. That was stupid. Delta doesn't do it. I mean, I guess any second fetch doesn't do anything. Not likely to win off this. I mean, a Miracle Brainstorm could do it. Take LED. Are we allowed to untap? That's the big question here. Okay, we're dead. All they have to do is get Flicker Wisp. And that's what they did. I mean, that was still a good game despite us not getting it. Sort of a bummer, though. Alright. Leaving in one grid for Mindbreak Trap. And that's how we board. And if you want to show your appreciation for this content, you know where to go. theepicstorm.com/shop. I highly recommend picking up one of our token packs to help you keep track of your mana and storm. We have other cool things there, though, if you already have a token pack, like the Epic Storm Pint Glass. I'm going to grab a drink right now because I've been talking forever, but I recommend you do the same out of a pint glass. Game 2, we're on the play against Death and Taxes. This hand is 1 mana short of an empty. I think we have to ship it. This hand is definitely a trap. A lot of you might be seeing this to me like, well, it has Burning Wish for Massacre, and it has an ad nauseum. How bad can it be? It just doesn't do anything is the big issue. Like, we could turn 1 Claw and then do nothing. We could pass, they'll Deafening Silence or Thalias, and then we're stuck doing nothing. Like, if either one of these was a ritual, or like a Dark Ritual preferred, but like even a Rite of Flame, this hand would be closer. It's just not good enough. Sure. I don't love this hand, but it's acceptable for a 5. We're looking to brainstorm into a Lion's Eye Diamond on their end step. Yep. Death and Taxes players play like 1 or 2 of this card. They always open it in their 7. I mean, I don't know why they didn't waste us. I think we're supposed to try to use this as our window. All right. I'm going to play into Mind Break. I think we're going to need the mana. Yell at me later. If they open up Mind Break and Deafening Silence, like, you got it. So this is close. We're a little bit off right now. Need this brainstorm to be solid. Whoop. Did that do it? I think we're short. Ritual for Claw for Ritual would actually do it. Loses to Surgical. Actually, I don't need to. I can just brainstorm again. Thank you, deck. Definitely made up for your draws in game 1. All right, now we're going to game 3. You might be wondering why I leave Veil in the deck, or a Grid in the deck. This is for Mind Break, but this way you have a card in the main and a card in the board for Burning Wish that helps you beat Mind Break Trap. Yes, Thoughtseize is slightly better in the main, but like that deck has so many cards that if you Thoughtseize them, they're going to have another like Haymaker to play on the next turn, so it's not that big of a deal. I do think it's supposed to be like this. But now we're on the draw against Death and Taxes. Let's see what we can do. Can't keep this. This hand had land, like over the Burning Wish or over Grid, snap keep. I don't like this hand, but I don't know. Yep. This card is, I believe, what the kids call bullshit. Like, that 1 mana rule of law did not need to exist. Neither this, the thing. All jerk cards. Probably going to brainstorm on their end step, see if we can find an answer. We have to start with deafening sounds. We can remove Thalia later. Sort of feast and famine. We're falling really far behind. Yeah, this is probably game. I imagine they get Fire Ice and they just completely lock us out. Yeah. So our out right here would be to draw Chain of Vapor. But we would have to naturally draw it, I think. And by the way, our out would be delaying Thalia from getting even better. It's not even to win the game. Sure. I mean, we just lost. There's nothing we can do. Yeah, I'm just going to concede, save a little bit of time. So we're 2-1 now. Lost to Death and Taxes. We had some good games there, but we're going to try to get the last few. Round number 4, we're on the play. I have no clue what our opponent's playing. We've opened up a pretty solid one. We're going to try this. Our opponent says we're playing the mirror. I don't know if I'm supposed to believe that. If we are playing the mirror, we have a turn 1. Alright, I don't know if this is some sort of mind game our opponent's playing, but I'm going to jam Ad Naz. Would like to see some more zeros. We have a Tendrils in the deck that kills us right now. That should do it. We'll stop there. 33% chance, or 50% chances would have been a Mox Opal, because we had one Verdant in the graveyard already. Alright, so we turn 1 to our opponent. I don't know if we're supposed to believe that they're on TES or not. But in the mirror, generally, I like boarding out Grid, bringing that Thoughtseize, and then a Chain. You can use Chain with your own artifacts. There's somebody in the Storm Discord that says that they think you're supposed to board out Tendrils, since you don't ever want to flip it to Ad Naz. I haven't actually tried it yet. We could do it right now. Just do this instead. Let's try it. I'm not against trying things for the first time. I forgot to update a record again. We are 2-1. Sure. This hand isn't very good in the mirror. Our opponent mulliganed. Main phase Brainstorm. Trying to cast Ponder here. Come on. Am I supposed to keep that? I don't think it really does anything. My hand, I don't like these sort of hands. I don't feel like they win very often. Yikes. Maybe I was supposed to burn that petal to Thoughtseize them. I'll save them the time. We're not going to win this one. Let's just go to game 3. Be a little bit more honorable. No. Am I supposed to keep this? Part of me thinks I should just go to 5. Like, this hand is not very good. If I were to keep, I would just bottom Burning Wish. Okay, well, this is a turn 2 Pier, most likely. I guess I'm supposed to bottom the Ritz, so it's not necessarily a turn 2 Pier. Put our artifacts into play. So this is a Pier. As long as nothing bad happens. Okay. So what you're seeing in this game 3 is do they have a fluster? Okay. That's like I would have been shocked if they're playing TS with fluster, but we chose to aggressively mulligan. We knew that our 7 was trash. Our 6 was theoretically a keepable hand, but it's not a hand that wins. So we shipped it back for a hand that could possibly actually win the game. And we were rewarded for disciplined mulliganing. So we're now 3-1 with one match left to play in the league sponsored by Gavin. All right, round 5 coming up. Okay, round 5. So our opponent was last seen on the 5-color Velky deck. Before that, Karn Echoes. Probably in trouble. We've opened up a hand here without any sort of action, but we do have a turn 1 grid. I think that this is probably supposed to be a mulligan in the blind. I don't really like this hand, but I do think it's probably a keep, and I guess they are Karn Echoes. We never beat this deck. So this is going to be a 3-2 league. Like I think like I'm around like 20% against this deck. Yep. So I actually have an ad nauseum next turn, but we can't win unless I draw a ritual or a rite of flame. It's the only way I could possibly beat the card that's in play. You'd have to draw exactly Dark Ritual or Rite of Flame. Come on, deck. We have 5 outs. Did not hit. And they have the lock next turn, too. Alright. This deck's lame. The Karn Chalice Force of Will deck. I think I'm just going to pass. Like, in theory, you could play out Claw there to, like, play around Echo. If they Echo, they Echo. I just don't think it's a winning line. Tendrils was not a very good draw. So as of right now, we have an ad nauseum next turn. If they have a force, we lose. If they have Karn, we probably lose. If they have Chalice, we probably lose. There it is. They have 4 mana for Karn. Yep. So we can't do anything here. They're just gonna get to lattice lock us. All right. So we went 3-2. Not the worst. Let's go and look at our deck list. So this is what Alex and I have been testing. This is 11.7. You're never going to beat Karn Echoes. Like, it's just a matchup you're never going to win. Like, let's be honest. It's a bullshit deck. The deck doesn't do well in real events, so it is what it is. It's like sort of a meme deck. Like, you can play a league in an hour. You're going to crush some stuff. You're going to lose to Dover a lot. It is what it is. The Death and Taxes matchup was really close. Like, Death and Taxes is a respectable deck. And that match had a lot of back and forth in it. We just didn't happen to win. It's tough because when they snowball Deafening Silence into Thalia, those matchups, it's tough because right now we don't have it, but a month from now we'll have Witherbloom Command, which would have crushed that opening. So I'm interested to see what we can do with Witherbloom Command. Right now, the plan is actually to just slot it here over the Echoing Truth, but who knows? Like, maybe we're just going to run 3 copies of Witherbloom Command. Like, do we need Abrupt Decay? Maybe we don't run Chain of Vapor anymore. Maybe these become 3 Witherbloom commands and we just accept the heavy green splash. I don't know. If you have any thoughts or suggestions on that, put them in the comments below. I'm interested to hear. I mean, that plan just accepts that we're never, ever, ever beating Karn. And Witherbloom Command also doesn't answer Chalice. Or not Chalice, I'm sorry, Trinisphere. It doesn't answer Trinisphere. Some people have talked about cutting Massacre. I don't think that's it. I think you want to play Massacre and Witherbloom Command. So I'm really looking forward to that card being released. Thank you to Gavin once again for submitting TES as a donation deck. That's awfully nice of you. Yeah. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, comments, etc., leave them in below. Make sure to subscribe. Help me hit my monthly goal. And if you're interested in a donation deck, once again, visit the URL, theepicstorm.com/donation decks. Thank you for watching. Take care and have a great night. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.